Welcoming Governor Nathan Deal.
Thank you. Thank you. National, state, and local officials, Georgia Chamber of Commerce and local chambers of commerce, ladies and gentlemen, January the 10th, what a difference a year makes. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning with so many leaders from across our state. Every year, this chamber event brings together business owners, business executives, and government officials. Throughout Georgia's history, state government and the business community have worked together to grow the economy and to create a great quality of life for those who call Georgia home. As a result of this historic partnership, we live in a state that is the economic engine of the South. Today, Georgia by itself ranks as the 33rd largest economy in the world, ahead of nations such as Austria, South Africa, and Argentina. We've taken advantage of the strategic location on the southeastern corner of this nation to become a global hub for commerce with the largest port, the fourth largest port in the nation, the most utilized airport in the world, and 2 Class 1 rail lines. The state can call home, that we call home, boasts world-class university and technical college systems that now combine to produce about 80,000 graduates every year. Georgia is one of only 5 states with 2 public universities ranked in the top 25 by the U.S. News and World Report. And it is the only state with 2 public universities ranked in the top 5 for return on investment when graduate salaries are compared to the cost of tuition. Georgia has a growing collection of corporate headquarters and a full 14 Fortune 500 companies now call Georgia home. In our red clay, companies like Coca-Cola and Home Depot have grown from simple ideas to global giants with unsurpassed reputations. And while Georgia is consistently recognized as one of the best places in America to do business, in these challenging economic times in which jobs are portable, we must do more to be able to continue to compete. It is my goal to make Georgia the #1 state in the nation as a place to do business. Georgia has risen to prominence in part by transforming itself into a hub. Our state is literally a global crossroads. Infrastructure is a key building block for economic development. And I believe Georgia is now at a historical juncture when it comes to investment in this area. To begin, we must make new investment through the regional transportation referenda in July. We need new projects to maintain roads and bridges that are left, if they are left unattended, will cost taxpayers far more down the road. We need to reduce congestion in Metro Atlanta and remove the drag that it places on our economy every time a shipment across town is delayed and every time a business executive across the nation reads an article discussing how long our commuters spend in traffic. In rural areas of our state, we need targeted efforts to open up these local economies. The regional project lists are now complete, and I want to encourage all of you to take a look at those lists and be involved in this process. Through the regional transportation roundtables, communities have had the opportunity to shape their investments that suits their area. The input and the feedback was robust, and I believe we have a number of projects around the state that are truly deserving of additional taxpayer dollars. This work is imperative to Georgia's medium and long-range economic development prospects. The slate of projects in your region provides value, and I want to ask you for your vote and for your help in getting the word out to your family and to your friends. A second infrastructure project of generational significance is the Savannah Harbor Expansion Project, or SHEP. It is not a stretch to say that deepening this waterway is a project of national importance. A deeper Savannah Harbor means greater efficiency for 21,000 United States companies, 75% of which are headquartered outside of Georgia. A U.S. Army Corps of Engineers study has shown that SHEP will reduce shipping costs for private companies by at least $100 million a year. Neither Georgia nor this nation can afford to delay a project that provides customers with a tool that reduces their cost. Many of you are familiar with the success of Georgia's ports. We've experienced steady, impressive growth at Savannah, and it is now the second busiest port for containerized exports in the United States. In a challenging 2011, exports from Savannah grew at a full 12%. And with Americans increasingly concerned about our nation's trade imbalance and national debt, the Georgia Ports Authority leadership has built a business mix that is majority export. We have a long brag sheet, but I'm not focused on successes of the past. At this critical juncture, I'm focused on what we must do to position this economic development asset for the future. With the enlarged Panama Canal coming online in 2014, we need to be prepared for the bigger ships that are headed our way. We continue to reach key milestones in the permitting process, and just recently, when visiting the port, U.S. Secretary of Transportation Ray LaHood made it very favorable comments about the importance of this harbor deepening project. We are now in a much better position to make real progress on a project that will enable the fastest growing port in America to continue driving economic activity across Georgia. My budget for next year includes $46.7 million in bonds to continue deepening of the harbor. This builds on the more than $136 million already set aside for harbor deepening over the past 3 years. We're continuing to work toward a record of decision and a financial commitment from the federal government. And simultaneously, we are continuing work on logistics projects that will support the port, such as the Jimmy DeLoach Parkway. A completed harbor expansion means a more competitive Georgia, offering customers greater value, and I can assure you that we are doing everything in our power to see this project through to completion. Lastly, within infrastructure, we're working to ensure that every Georgia community has dependable water supplies. While we continue to await the Army Corps of Engineers' decision on diversions from Lake Lanier, we're moving forward with plans to enhance water supply and security around the state. We must act to ensure that Georgia is not handicapped down the road by a water shortage or even by continued uncertainty. At last year's Eggs and Issues Breakfast, I announced the launch of the Georgia Water Supply Development Program to assist local governments in developing new sources of water supply. We created a task force with the responsibility of identifying how Georgia communities could best increase local supply. This morning, I want to commend them for the work that they've done to develop the approaches that can move the needle on this very critical issue. They have thoroughly evaluated the needs and have provided options for very diverse situations. Last year, we took action to get the ball rolling by calling for $300 million of new investment over a 4-year period. My budget for next year proposes $45.7 million for water supply projects, the second installment in that 4-year plan. Today, the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority will issue solicitation and application forms for the water supply program. Local governments can now apply for the low-interest loans and state direct investment, and we're one step closer to enhanced water security in this state. Regarding our long-running battle with our neighbors to the west and the south, my team is now negotiating with a more favorable legal backdrop, and we are in a much better position to strike a lasting deal that makes sense for Georgia. With our state's population projected to grow by an additional 4.6 million people over the next 2 decades, it is imperative that we expand water supply across our state. Let me restate my priority. We must create new reservoirs to address Georgia's long-term water needs.